13 free trips. Hawaii a couple times, Palm Beach. I mean, it's unreal. We were trying to name, we just had our 13-year anniversary, and we were trying to name, what was our favorite trip? We couldn't even name it. We started naming one after another, and then we realized, you know, from our first year on, we've been on trips. And I'll tell you, it's a mindset, and you realize you have that mindset, because when you go on a trip, it's so freeing. It's just like, oh, we can turn it off, right? You have to be able to turn it off. But doesn't it get tiring all the time to have that mindset? You almost feel like you're walking around going, okay, who can I find, who can I find, who can I find, right? There's a little homing pigeon just walking around, who can I talk to? And I always got so tired of that, but you know what, you can't get tired of that. You've got to do it over and over and over and over again, not thinking about yourself, but thinking about the person that you're about to make an impact on. So it is a mindset. And really, you have to become an expert at it. And that mindset that you have to have is every single person that I come across is for a reason. And I honestly have that mindset. I mean, I'm not going to go off about my faith in here. This is a business environment. But I honestly believe it. I cannot tell you what has come from the skills that I've learned in Primerica. Because I've learned to open my mouth. And no, it's not all business. It's learning how to talk to teenagers. It's Bible studies that have gone on. It's learning how to talk to someone and then finding out and getting connection all the way down the road to this person coming to Christ. I mean, literally, that's what it's like. But I realize, and I know through many different avenues, not just Primerica, that every single person that I come across is for a reason. So you need to know that. When you don't open your mouth, you just cut that opportunity instead of creating it. They can always tell you no. But if you don't give them the opportunity to tell you no, that's how I had to start thinking about it in being an introverted person. Give someone the opportunity to tell you no. Because if you don't do that, you don't give them the opportunity to tell you yes either, do you? You don't.
Right.
It's the same thing. You have to become an expert at relating to others. Do you know how to have a conversation? If you don't know how to have a conversation, you have to learn. Here's a good example for you. We're driving to the car, we're driving to the library, we're in the car. My 9-year-old's getting some tutoring, you know, because he just wants to be tutored. My 6-year-old's one that's, you know, wanting to really get the reading down before she goes into 1st grade. But my 9-year-old's, well, then I want to tutor. I was like, okay. So his 2nd grade teacher, who he hadn't seen in a couple years, because he's going to go into 4th grade, was able to tutor. So I was like, yes, they can tutor at the same time. It works. And that rarely happens, right, where it works at the same time. And I said, so Austin, you know, what are you going to say to Miss Morgan when you see her? He's like, I don't know, I'm going to be so nervous. And aren't we like that? Even when it doesn't matter how old we are, we're so nervous to talk to people. And his eyes got all big, and he's like, Mom, what would you say? And I was just like, well, how do you have a conversation? And he sat there for a minute. I said, we've talked about this. He's like, I know, but I'm forgetting everything right now. It's happening in 5 minutes. And I was just like, okay, think of the mirror model. And I've taught my kids the mirror model. And that's step 1, wherever you're at with how to talk to people, right? Miss Morgan, Austin, is going to lead. She's the teacher. She knows how to work with kids. She's going to probably ask you a question. She's probably going to say, hi, Austin, how are you? And what are you going to say? Good. And I said, good answer. All right. What should you say back? How are you? That's the mirror model. Okay. And then she's going to say, good. And then she's going to say something maybe like, what? What have you been doing this summer? What can you say to that? He's like, well, I just did Vacation Bible School. Great. Tell her that you did Vacation Bible School. Okay. And then what should you say? What have you been doing this summer? Mm-hmm. That's called the mirror model. Listen, people are like robots. Whatever question they ask you, they're comfortable with you asking them. Have you ever thought about that?
No.
If they ask you, this is psychology 101 for you. If they ask you a question, if they say, how are you? They're fine with you asking them that back. Now, if they say, how are you? And you say, so have you ever had a divorce? They're going to go in freak out mode on you, right? Right? Because, that's uncomfortable. That's uncomfortable, right? That's a really extreme example. I want to make sure you got it. Because you don't get this part, I can't move on. But seriously, that's the mirror model. That's the mirror model. Answering questions back and forth. The worst thing you can do with people skills is not ask a question back. So as you get new recruits in, this is a game, you all. They come into your office, they're interviewing with you, whatever you're doing. If they're not asking you questions back, that's the first thing you have to start with. You need to teach them the mirror model. Because otherwise they're going to go out and they're not going to know what the heck to say to people, which what does that mean? They're not going to talk to anyone because they don't have the skills necessary to do it. So I watched his whole conversation in the mirror model, and he kind of turns to me and goes, glad you're comfortable, buddy. But you know, if we would all teach our kids at this age that, then they won't struggle with it when they're 25.
Yep.
You know, they won't have a problem when adult comes up. So that's the mirror model. Okay, you have to find common ground with them through that mirror model. I'm sure you've heard of form, right? Where are you from is a question you can. You need to figure out questions that you're comfortable with, okay, of them asking you back. And so that what that does, and so you can lead a conversation wherever you want. You really can. You can lead it wherever you want. Once you ask them, so what do you do for a living? Right? Once you start, what are they going to most likely ask you back? Well, what do you do? Well, you sure as heck better know what to say. And your partner sure as heck better know what to say. You know? So if you, those are real basic things on learning how to prospect. So you find common ground with them. Form, where are you from? What do you do for a living? Occupation, recreation, what do you like to do? What's your favorite restaurant in town? You know, if you have a favorite restaurant that you love to tell people about, ask people that question. What restaurants do you like in town? Because then you can share your favorites. You're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
It calms everything down for you in a stressful moment. It's stressful for some of you to talk to, and it always kind of is, especially if you don't know them. Okay, and then M is get your message across. I mean, at what point in the conversation, how long do you have? Is this a line where you have 30 seconds where you're in line with somebody, or do you have a couple minutes with them? You know, you have to look at those situations. You have to learn how to read people. Okay? You have to learn how to read people. If they're real negative looking, you know what I mean, and all that kind of stuff. I love talking to people like that. I seriously do. You know, once you get a little bit more bold as you get around more, you know, and you know, I love when someone looks down, usually just because something's on their mind, you know, and you know, I've been known to like walk up to somebody and say, "So you're looking kind of down. What's up?" I mean, I'm sitting there, I'm stuck at, I don't want to say stuck, but you know, you're stuck at your kids' activities. And you're sitting there like for 45 minutes during a soccer thing, and we can all stand there. Because people will. Isn't that hilarious? They won't say it, Evan. They'll stand there, and maybe even be a little further away. There's another human over there. I mean, just seriously, that's what it's like. That's what it's like. So I mean, it may be some short little funny thing that you do and be like, so what's that? And you're looking kind of, oh, I'm not down. Oh, okay, great. Your face looked like you were down. Oh. You know, and you mess with them a little bit, and they're like, oh, well, yeah. I mean, you would not believe just from that little thing. I have a high school girl that was really going through some tough things, and the lady that I said that to was her mom at a younger brother's soccer thing. And she said, actually, I'm struggling with my 16-year-old. I said, that's interesting. I love teenagers. Love them. You know, and gifted in speaking with them. He's like, I said, okay. I said, give me your number, and you know, I'm going to call you and we'll arrange something. So what did I do? You can't tell a teenager, that mom can't tell a teenager, hey, I met somebody. Anybody who has teenagers, right? The parent cannot introduce. Just know that. Can't do that. Okay? So I invited their family over for dinner. Who does that? Primerica people.
Right.
If you're not opening your home, if you're not breaking bread with people, it does not have to be expensive. Tell them to bring something. We always do. That means that they come. They won't cancel on you if they have to bring something. Okay? Those are little tricks, right? And then you're out less money, okay? So they come over. Of course, she's going to come over. Well, we have an air hockey table. All teenagers love air hockey. And, and she walks in, and I could tell she's very shy, very. You just look at their body language. You go, okay, yeah, she's struggling. You know. And I said, "You good at air hockey?" She's like, "I'm pretty good, not as good as me." Really? And I said, "Yep." We went up there to play a little air hockey. You know, I had to win. I'm sorry, I can't have mercy. Air hockey. We have been great friends ever since. She's been in several groups. But you know what? I had to get uncomfortable and go mess with someone a little bit and say, man, why are you looking down? To a complete stranger. I mean, the worst thing that can happen is they say nothing and you go, oh, okay, great. Who do you have out here? And that's another way to go about it if you don't want to get that uncomfortable. So who do you here watching, or do you just like to come watch kids play soccer? Have fun with this.
Yes.
You see what I mean? It doesn't have to be a script. Have fun with this. And then open up your home or meet people, whatever stage of life you're in. Obviously, I'm in park stage and kids stage and all that kind of stuff, and that changed from the beginning. So I meet people places if I don't want to have to clean my house, you know, or whatever. But most of the time, it's easier for me just to have people over. It's easier than for me to go, especially since we had that third one. You know, so that's how you talk with people, and reading their body language tells me how to enter the conversation. If they're all smiley and chipper and happy, that's even more fun. Man, you just come across like a real happy person. What's going on with you? What are you so excited about? And I'll tell you, I can't tell you how many times somebody will say, man, I started with this new company. It's called Genesis Pure, or it's called Amway. Or it's called, I would love to share that opportunity with you. Great. Tell me about it. Tell me what is so exciting about those companies for you. Well, da 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 da. And then guess what they just told me? They're hot buttons. Well, you can make great money. It can give you freedom. I can do it on my own time. You know, I love the product. So then you see they're a crusader. So you know where to go with your conversation. Don't talk about your interests, talk about theirs.
Right.
The less you're talking, the more you're winning. The more you're talking, the less you're winning. And that's completely contrary to what we do when we're nervous. We throw up on people. We blah, 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 right? We just keep going and going and going. So look at their body language. And you have to do that with yourself too. How are you walking around? What do you look like? I mean, what does your face look like? I mean, if you had a video camera on you for 30 minutes, just your face, like, that followed you, you would freak yourself out. Seriously, you would. You would go, wow, I look mean. It's not that you're mean, it's that you're focused, right? It's that you're focused. And I sure would have wished that I knew that in sports. I'm already teaching my kids body language. I mean, walk up to that opposing team and just be like, hey, you know, just smiley and happy. And they're gonna look at you like, what's your problem? You know what I mean? But you know, you 90% of communication is what your face looks like. That's scary to think about it if you haven't learned that. Sometimes you just need to smile. Do you know, we were watching the gymnastics. Is anybody watching that yesterday? You shouldn't be watching TV. That's good. Good answer. You got it going on in here. Yeah, okay, that's good. Okay, I never watch TV, but I'll tell you, the Olympics gets me. I'm a die-hard sports fan, die-hard athlete, seriously, and these people train all their life for this. And we were watching the gymnastics Olympic trials last night, and they have built into their routines, this guy was talking, the smiles. So after a certain tumbling pass, if they know, they've programmed their muscle memory, just like the tumbling, that their face needs to go, whoop. Smile, you're having fun, right? This is not stressful. And so you have to remind yourself throughout the day, how many times have I smiled today? And trust me, if your face isn't hurting a little bit, you aren't smiling enough. You're looking too serious. Even though your brain's not frustrated, you look frustrated, okay? And nobody's going to want to talk to you. Your compass for this business, okay? Your compass. When you come in, and this was almost everyone, you think it's information. You think your compass is, man, the more information I can get, the more I can learn. Your compass is activity. The compass for this business is activity. How many people have you talked to? And I'll tell you, how can you create more conversations? How can you do it? Easily.
Meet more people.
Meet more people. Excellent. So what does that mean? You can't be sitting in your house. You have to be where people are. And guess what? You have to be where people are that you don't know. You can't be with people you know. And you can't be with people who are in Primerica already. You have to be, how many times a week are you around people that you don't know and aren't in Primerica? Is that pretty basic? But how many times a week are you doing that? What are you wearing when you're meeting people? What are people's biggest fears? Oh my gosh, that person might judge me. Oh my gosh, that person might talk to me. Oh my gosh, what's that person think of me? You realize what's going through people's heads. You know, because your voice is talking to you too. You know, okay? Why don't you wear something when you're around people that you don't know that gives them something to talk about? Have you ever thought about that? That's a huge play of mine when I'm meeting people. Huge play when I'm around teenagers because they don't know what the heck to say to you. They're very uncomfortable. What can you wear that could give somebody a conversation piece? Anything? Anyone?
Hot pink hat.
That's a great conversation piece.
That's right. I'll do it. I'm scared. I got broad shoulders. I can handle it.
Okay. What else could you wear?
Football jersey.
A pin. Thank you. Football jersey. We're in Texas, people.
Yeah.
Everybody loves football. If you have a pro team that you love, if you have a university that you played for, heck, if you had a high school that you played for, any kind of sport, wear t-shirts like that often. Often. It's so easy for me to walk up to somebody with a jersey on and say, so, you a UT fan?
Yeah.
No, I'm only all in burnt orange. People's cars in Austin are burnt orange. I'm not from here, I can say that. No, just kidding. I like UT too, but burnt orange car, no. Okay, with horns on their front. Okay. So you're a UT fan. Did you go to UT? I can't tell you how many conversations happen when I wear a Southern Miss shirt. Seriously. Anybody, of course, I'm guaranteed, anybody in the room that is from Mississippi is going to walk over to me and talk to me. I'm not even going to have to pursue it. If I have a Southern Miss shirt on and they know the Golden Eagles in any way, it's going to happen. Because guess what you just gave them? Something to talk about. When you wear Primerica, now no offense, I love all your little golf shirts and all the things you all wear. When you wear Primerica, sales.
Yeah.
When you wear chains, I mean, people kind of, they avoid you, right? They're like, if you had a booth set up, avoiding you. That type of thing. But man, if you have a Coach shirt on, or if you're in the Air Force, if you were in the Army, if you were in the Marines, if you were in anything that makes you unique, any sport, any musical instrument, anything that gives you a conversation piece, even if they can't relate to you, trust me, they'll say something about your shirt. Because it makes them comfortable and they know they're not offending you. Because everybody's worried about what you think. Okay? So wear stuff that creates conversation. It can be a hat. It can be a shirt. It can be all those things. And I'll tell you another thing. Bumper stickers are a big one. I gotta tell you, dude, if I saw somebody with a Southern Miss, that's just not because I'm in Primerica. That's just because, dude, they went to Southern Miss, right? That's where I went. Do I know them? How many people do I know that they know, right? If somebody had a Southern Miss bumper sticker on, I would follow them probably. You would too. Here's my show. Yes, you would. And you would go, dude, you go to Southern Miss? Yeah.
Tasha.
I gotta tell. Thank you. There you go. You see, yeah. That's right. Wear shirts like that. So bumper stickers are a big thing. I can't remember what I had on. Oh, I had an Oregon. I'm from Oregon, so I'll wear Oregon Ducks stuff. I mean, I'm from Oregon, so I'm a Duck fan. Heck yeah, they're kicking some tail. And so I'll wear Oregon. I had an Oregon shirt on. I had a lady waving out the door. I mean, I'm driving with my kids, and my son goes, Mom, there's somebody like freaking out over there. And I was like, what? And I rolled down. She goes, go Ducks! Wow, this really works. Seriously, she pulls around and she said, dude, did you go to the University of Oregon? I said, no, ma'am, but I'm from Oregon and I like the Ducks. She said, I went to U of O. And I said, really awesome. And she's just like, you need to come hang out with me sometime. I said, I do. So then she goes, are you on LinkedIn? I said, definitely. And so she gave me her LinkedIn stuff. And then now with social media, it's so easy. It doesn't have to happen right there. You know what I mean? So I'm telling you, it's so funny. Some people, I mean, with their sports, it's hilarious. They'll even stick their head out the window driving and go Ducks. Sorry, my kids are like, wow. But yeah, so anyways, give it a try. You never know. You might get someone to yell out the window at you too. So anyways, but it also, the flip side to that is, that tells you what people are interested in. What are they wearing? Talk about what they like. Even though you may love Southern Miss, don't go off about Southern Miss to somebody who's a UTSA fan. Right? If they have UTSA fans, like, oh man, do you go to UTSA? Well, no, I graduated from there. Okay, great. What did you study? Right? Stay on their subject. You know, and if they know your model and they're asking you questions back, you're like, hey, this is double stud here. What that tells me right away is this is reduced training time.
Yeah.
It's going to take less time for this person to succeed. Okay, so then I'm going to try to be even more quick on it. So off to the next, I'm going to start flying through this because I know we're out of time here. You need a continuous cycle of activity in order to have success. You can't just wear your, college shirt around, right? And now prospecting solutions are now, it's all taken care of. You have to get off the computer. Everyone is hiding behind the computer. I have never seen a more depressed state in the teenage population than I've seen now.
Yeah.
Frank and I are very involved in ministry in Austin. He is the chaplain of a high school football team as well. And so that's part of what we've tried to learn on not getting too spread out so we can, be a jack of all trades and master at none. And that's part of, in defense of him, like, I have a real big plugged in. He's done an excellent job running a family with 3 kids and trying to serve boys and serve, and all that kind of stuff. But I'll tell you, I've never ever seen the depression amongst people like I've seen now. I've never seen suicides like I've seen. It's unbelievable what's happened even in the last 6 months. And I'll tell you, a huge part of it is the social media. These kids, and let's just equate that to adults too, because it just goes right on up. They have 700 Facebook friends, but they don't have one friend that they've gone to coffee with. So when tragedy strikes or feelings hit, they don't have anybody to call. They're living their feelings on Facebook. And so, thankfully, I know this stuff, and I've been ministering for several years, and all these kids are on my Facebook. And so I'll start seeing statuses of feelings, and I know I need to call them. Okay, so be aware of your surroundings. You're not here just to do Primerica.
Yeah.
And the skills you're learning are to impact others at many levels, not just to close a life sale. And if you live your life like that, I mean, you're going to, money, trust me, as you make more money, you spend more money. As you make more money, they raise taxes. As we keep living, they change the Constitution. We're not even political, and all my Facebook, people are going, oh, we don't ever talk politics. It's just crazy. All these pictures of like a changed Constitution. I was like, man, something must have happened. But that's the latest one I saw this morning. It's like, did our Constitution change? Oh, that's what it said on Facebook. But anyways, yeah.
On Facebook.
Know your personal tendencies. Know your personal tendencies. When you get to that feeling, when you pull up to the cash register, you've gotten into a couple questions, that uncomfortable, fuzzy feeling you feel. Does everybody know what I'm talking about? That like, oh, I just don't think it's a good time to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. That uncomfortable, fuzzy feeling, you need to have a name for that. Develop your own name. I call it my potential. That's my potential wanting to scream out of me. And every time I don't follow through, I'm taking one step back from fulfilling my potential. What do you call that fuzzy feeling inside of you, that uncomfortable feeling when you're in that moment when you know you need to open your mouth and you're either going to do it or you're not? And when you have a system in place to deal with your issues, okay, deal with your voice in your head that says you can't, you will overcome it more and you'll take one step closer. And I'll say, and I know we're breaking for, how much time do I have before you all need to eat and all?
You go until you're done.
Okay, all right. But I want to cover a little bit more meat.
We're not hungry.
Okay.